Good evening. Historians will often tell you, look for incremental change. Big instances that we tend to latch onto are generally not turning points of anything. Yet everything and every time when something grand takes place, we always yearn as human beings to see in it something pivotal. Donald Trump is in India, one day down. The business end of day 2 begins in Delhi tomorrow. As he has arrived, what has been patently obvious that he looks to within India and in Narendra Modi a friend that seems to understand him, his way of functioning and his family, and the impetus which is almost momentous in terms of literally the momentum it has of two civilizations, one in America and the other in India, far older and grander perhaps, but in the modern day context of things, now very much one of the four important countries, if not the superpowers of the world. Yet, oftentimes all we get to issues of our interest is lip service from America. We've had that from Donald Trump today. He has said that Pakistan should stop supporting terror. He's promised to help. Will that actually amount to something or really amount to absolutely nothing as it has in the past? We have to have one fundamental realization that we as a country have to first look within ourselves. Team India is the one that has to say that we stand together. Team India is the one that has to decide that if we back ourselves and we put our heads together, we apply our minds, we can achieve miracles. Otherwise, and that's it. There is no otherwise. Let me open up this conversation on the broadcast with me. Our editor Manish Pandey, Pankaj Vora will be joining us in just a bit. Sumit Peer is in our studios and Priya Sehgal is also with us. Manish, you spent a lot of time in America. Donald Trump and India, what is happening? Do we really understand it?
I see a great shift in the relationship. And as you mentioned, the way things are, we haven't seen, things have been building on in the last 10 years. The relationship building was on right from Mr. Obama coming to India, and he also came twice. But the personal chemistry these two leaders have, if I just tell you that in the last less than 10 months, these two leaders have met 5 times. This is the 6th, I think.
Yeah, 6th.
So Manish, I have to ask you the question. And
American president meeting Indian Prime Minister
I was raise
6
this in the
times
morning.
less than 10 months.
He has had a frosty relationship with all the Europeans, Macron, Merkel. He's had issues even with Trudeau in Canada. Forget what's been happening with the Mexicans. He has problems with NATO, with the UN, with EU. What is Team Narendra Modi and Team India right now getting right with Donald Trump? Now you might have loved the guy, hate the guy, but in the end he's POTUS.
Both are nationalists. Both are like top show managers, showmen. They love a pomp and show and the way things have to be projected. They complement each other. And also they are populists, so they play to the gallery. And at this moment, what I saw in Howdy Modi, and I have been watching him for the last 1.5 years, the way I have been reporting from there, the way India has complemented to the US needs, especially under him, is something phenomenal.
So what's the US need? Donald Trump is very clear. He is inward looking to what's in it for us, right? What jobs are you creating here? What investments are you bringing to us? We don't give two hoots about grander causes and alliances. We're not interested in climate change and global issues like this. What's in it for Donald Trump?
Even in 2 days, if a president comes to you and he gets $3 billion in one deal and he raises the energy deal from 6 billion annually to 12 billion annually, plus he's taking back also the great vote bank, isn't this a big deal for him?
Okay, so it's a big deal for him. Then it comes to the immediate obvious question. Sumit Peer, what's in it for us?
Yes. I think, Rishabh, you look at the last 6 years number, we had a trade of $96 billion. It has come to 165. we were $25 billion of trade surplus in the favor of India, which is $20 billion of goods and $5 billion of services. We are getting the latest technology forum. We are now a non-NATO ally of US. So that means we have access to all the latest technology, Apache,
But that's a
Chinooks and all.
categorization.
No, but we have the access to the allies.
Major non-NATO trading partner.
Biggest export
not an
country is
ally.
US, sir.
Yes.
Biggest export country for India is US. One of the top 10 contributors of the FDI are, in fact, 25% comes from US. There's a big Indian American diaspora, and we have a trade surplus. That is the advantage, and the possibilities are immense. He has stood with us today. He said, Americans and Indians have to protect themselves from the Islamic terror, and we have to protect our people. And he called from the soil of India, Pakistan's. He did not say terrorist heavens and those countries. He said Islamic terror, and he said it comes from the borders of Pakistan. And he said we stand with India.
Does it need to go Sumit Peer beyond this?
No,
because if there is an economic benefit, does it need to go beyond this? Do we need to have a declaration of intent that goes across to the world, or will simple optics be enough?
I think we have been maintaining this stand all along. Pakistan is our problem. The only thing what United States can do, they can sit with you, stand behind you, and make sure a third party like China or somebody else does not intervene. It is left between India and Pakistan to settle it. But we have to go and clean our own business in Pakistan.
Manish Pandey, have we as a country realized that a new world order has emerged, that Russia and China are on one side, America it seems to be on the other side, and we have to figure out where we fit into this new world order, not as a third world seeking to be Warsaw Pact, CETO or CENTO, but as a primary power in future global affairs.
I'll take it on from what he said. India is all set to play the great game with the multipolar world which is trying to create, and that it will do with ease because India is the market of the future. India can play at ease with Russia. At the same time, it is the confident and the most viable partner and the most trusted partner of America emerging. India has taken support, and that was the reason. If I just take you back to UNGA at the time when even people were speculating that China will back Pakistan, China actually backed off.
Okay, so it's about playing the great game. Priya Sehgal, some would say that we've been trying to play the great game, but when push came to shove, when we needed help, we needed clarity. 71 is an example. Somebody needed to be getting your back at the UNSC because Nixon was not, and the Russians, Soviet Union came to your help. Otherwise, Bangladesh could not be broken. Now, when you have great aspirations, including the return of POK, certainly perhaps playing the great game one way or the other does not win you all the friends in troubled waters that you might need.
Yeah, well, we've had Dr. Swami on my interview talking about this getting back POK. He feels that we should actually put troops down in Afghanistan, which is what Donald Trump, I think, is going to be asking us to do. And in return, get their support for POK. Now, that would be something tangible. So, I would really, it's all very well to say Donald Trump is our friend, but he is a transactional man. He is walking away in his bag with a whole lot of deals and a whole lot of, money from our orders. What are we getting in return is really what I would like to see. Playing the great game is fine. Him coming here and giving the symbolic meeting between the two of them is also great. Don't forget, that happened when Clinton also came here. Clinton invited Vajpayee for White House for the last dinner. So, these moments and these things have been happening through the ages. What is Donald Trump going to go away tomorrow? Is he going to censure us on religious freedom as, we are fearing he might? Those are the symbols that I would be really looking for.
Because he has a gallery to play too, even though he's has a conservative gallery mostly, but when it comes to certain issues, he wants let's say India can be an easy punching bag, and Donald Trump is a person who's not really known for filtering everything that he wants to say. He says it like he feels it, whether it's right or wrong, that comes later. Manish Pandey, have we understood Donald Trump at least when it comes to the subtleties, reaching out to Ivanka at the very beginning? She is the one who was invited first in Hyderabad. Today, and this is going to be, is already making news all over the world, and it's going to definitely be making news as America wakes up today morning. The difference between Melania and Donald in Saudi Arabia and the two of them holding hands at the Taj is completely different. Manish.
So on a lighter note, I'll say that Taj brought them together, and but coming down to Ivanka, and we had discussed this earlier also, but I'll just take that point further, that Ivanka is actually the backroom person who has building on this relationship since last they came in Hyderabad for the GS summit. Global Entrepreneurship Summit and all. So, and this businessman family, with everything going within the family, and they talk a lot about the country where India is emerging as a market, and with all the and what is the biggest interest of America? Economy.
Yeah.
And to find a new market, because this man is not going to China the way the former presidents or the former leadership of US has gone.
Okay. So,
There's a
no,
reason.
so, wait, wait,
It's
but-
called
so
coronavirus.
is-
Is India an
is-
alternative?
does it boil down to personal touch? Because I said
Yes.
nobody's managed to crack Trump. A lot of world leaders have tried personal chemistry. We had Macron talking about getting the handshake right because Donald Trump and his pushy-pulley handshake. Modi says, I'll just go for the hug. Okay. Is it about understanding that in diplomacy, Sumit Peer, or is it about some larger, compelling national momentum on both sides that is driving us together?
I think it's a national momentum, Rishabh. Personal chemistry does matter, that builds the trust. But diplomacy is not only done on personal chemistry. It is, look at us, we're the biggest market in the world. Our retail, only if we open a multi-brand retail, is $500 billion worth of a market. We have 800 million youth. We produce the highest number of engineers in the world, which kind of make the software for US companies. So we are
But
we're
they
the
don't like
biggest
you for
middle
that,
class.
no?
We are the biggest middle class. Rishabh, there's no comparison because we are 3 trillion, they're 24 trillion now. So even, and we have a positive balance of trade, we have a trade surplus with them. And look at China. Donald Trump's problem is there's a trade deficit of $350 billion. That is too big for him to handle. So if he has to look at a market where there is a biggest democracy and the oldest democracy is
But as
India,
soon as
where
America
there's a
sees
people to
us
people
as
connect.
a market / potential future dumping ground,
Yeah.
but don't want to give us the high tech, we are unable to do the Chinese model of, listen, you manufacture here, we'll do it for cheap, but then we'll copy and steal everything. That's how China's
No,
built
we
its
don't want to
economy.
do that. Why should we? There's no need of doing that.
So if we don't
because
do it, so
elevating
then-
is to a national
So then how do we come to terms?
It's
Because
already-
we don't want to say, okay, we don't threaten you because only $3 trillion. We have greater aspirations, Sumit.
No, we want to go to 15 trillion because we are not an imminent threat to them. They don't have so much of a trade deficit as a problem with us. There's a people-to-people connect. See how brilliantly Indian guys have done there.
Okay, Manish Pandey, brass
there's not
tacks,
a reason for them.
I'll understand. India has not given in so far, and India will not give in so far easily. India will not give in easily to what you just mentioned. That will not be the dynamics. The dynamics will be, even if you want India to be the manufacturing hub, the jobs will be ours.
Yeah.
And if you get, like they are doing now, because 10% of the technical and the quality control and the upper level management side can be from America, but the 90% jobs also, if you create in a factory which is going to promise
But what
you.
does India need? India and manufacturing needs high tech. Now, we don't want to be the back end of the world. I told you the Chinese model is very simple. Apple you design, we'll manufacture really dirt cheap. But we will steal all your designs, and come 10 years later, there will be the Oppos and Vivos and Xiaomis and Realmes and OnePluses all over, and which we're going to steal market share from you by taking away a lot of your proprietary technology. We don't want to do that. Is there another model?
IPR is building on. That's the issue we will talk later sometime. But India is now trying to match what China is doing in IPR and the filing of patents.
I think
At the same time, India can be the big market for America when it comes to artificial intelligence and robotics.
Okay, so let me flip the question around. We don't want to be market. We want to be manufacturing the artificial intelligence and robotics, which we are woefully bad at. We can't even figure out 5G right now.
We are-
So hopefully Huawei won't be it, and I don't know whether a European company takes it or Samsung comes and takes it eventually. Priya Saigal, let's talk politics for a second.
Yes, thank you.
There's obviously clarity in politics for Donald Trump, right? He goes back home, he gets the people who hate Trump will hate Trump, right? You already look at what John Oliver, for example, on HBO is doing. He's roasted Narendra Modi.
I saw.
On Sunday. He's roasted India, and it's been timed for the visit of Donald Trump to India, right? Very carefully timed by them. They've trashed this country. So there will always be people who hate India, who hate Trump, or don't like this. But for Donald Trump's audience, he says, okay, look, I went to a major emerging country. There they love me. This is the kind of approach and welcome that I have received. And incidentally, a lot of these of their brothers, sisters, and cousins and descendants living in America are voters. That helps me too.
No,
Priya.
clearly this is a win-win for Donald Trump. Otherwise, this is election year and each day is, of prime time. So he would really choose his day carefully. He's come here with a mission, with this thing. And today, what we saw in at the stadium was exactly what he was hoping for. He got not the millions and millions of people that he tweeted about, but a fair chunk of people turned up, and the message has been sent to the Indian diaspora. So for Trump, it's a win-win. I am just looking out for our end. What do we
So let me
have?
flip it around on the politics part. That
Yeah.
okay, Trump, there's a win-win. Okay, he is borrowing from a Narendra Modi sheen, as he was very evidently doing so in Howdy Modi, when Narendra Modi said, "This is my family." You're sitting in Texas, which is a Republican heartland, and he was saying, "Meet my family," and everyone's going, "Yay!" Right? So he's borrowing from Narendra Modi there. He's borrowing from Narendra Modi here. What does Narendra Modi get politically out of this?
Well, that's a very strong message that actually Prime Minister Modi also sent. Apna Shakti Pradarshan wahan kiya tha in Houston, with that he's showing Trump, look, I have control of that much diaspora. So he has flexed his muscle, shown his hand to Trump. Whether Trump actually gives us something in return in appreciation apart from a symbolic visit is something we have to see. Diplomacy is fine. He's made a comment on Pakistan. He's made the comment on Islamic terror, which everybody is excited about. My point is, India's primary concern right now is the economy. Instead of howdy Trump and Khemcho, whatever Modi, we should say howdy economy. What are we getting at the bottom?
When it
Where are
comes
the
to
jobs?
bottom lines,
Will Trump help us in that?
So when
Will
it
this
comes to
visit-
bottom lines, does this change things,
Yeah.
Sumit Peer, in not just saying that okay, Trump can go back and announce the deals he's got. Okay, does India need to be announcing certain deals also? Something big coming our way, technology
Yeah.
transfer coming our way, or strategically something big coming? Or something in it?
I think Rishabhji, President Trump has already said whatever is the latest cutting edge technology available to the America will be transferred to India, which was not happening 5
But
years
we
back
need
because
these American companies.
because 5 years back
setting
there was
up
embargo,
here.
we could not
now
do
I'm
it.
told now Microsoft is setting up another R&D facility. We need 20 more of those, or 50
we
more
need,
of
we
those,
need
or
more
100
of them.
more of
We
those.
have to create that environment. Unfortunately, we have wasted a lot of time doing this non-aligned movements, and I don't know where their non-aligned movement office is now. We have wasted 50 years doing that. If we had chosen our bets carefully, the things would have been different, right? When the China was doing industrialization, we were doing emergency. Let's not forget that we have wasted a lot of time doing this Jingbang and Young Turks and all that crap, which does not fly in the world. Now, only if in last 5 to 10 years, especially after the Modi ji has come, we have really made our intentions clear.
Okay.
Because semantics and optics sends a message, sir, we have to be seen
At
there.
the bottom line, you can have the best strategic interests, the best moral interests, the best practical interests, but somewhere, Manish Pandey, you have to find the best economic interest. What is other than our market, right? For which the British were selling us the same cotton that today has been spun on a charkha by none other than Donald Trump and Melania Trump. Other than that, what is the competitive advantage we have to offer?
I'm not saying that India is the market for a lot of deals, but India can be the best manufacturing hub for a lot of things which the entire Europe and America is looking for, because China is no more a trusted country.
IPR is a
be
problem
it in
there.
terms of quality control and the viruses which are going to hit that country, which is hitting now.
That's a particular example. Now that might be only
No,
relevant
but
right
we
now.
have not encashed on the US-China trade war which has been happening. We have not encashed
So where-
on the
so where
next
have we
6
gone wrong?
months.
So where have we gone
We
wrong?
have gone wrong because the bureaucratic hurdles are not letting this
Correct.
relationship, economic relationship, go on the level playing field, where we argue for ourselves that, look, we want India to be the manufacturing hub, but our condition is simple, that we want 90% of jobs are jobs.
Okay,
Right.
our jobs here, and we need R&D to be happening here in
Cutting
India.
edge
We need the
technology
patent
content.
filing to be happening in India.
Yes.
These are particular economic terms. Okay, I've got a few minutes left before you shift focus to what is happening as Donald Trump is going to be arriving in Delhi. Further clashes taking place in a different part of the city. Priya Sehgal, that's economic interest. Now you can argue that that's the most fundamental economic. If you have a powerful economy, your country is powerful and everything else becomes easier. That's the Chinese model, it's the American model, and certainly there can be no better model for India. But we have a strategic interest also. Have the Americans done enough for us by ensuring that no world government, including theirs, meddled around in Kashmir past post August 5th? After Balakot, nothing happened. Literally within 48 hours, we got our wing commander back from Pakistan. A lot of global pressure was applied over there. Pakistan has been maintained on the grey list. Are these enough?
see, this has been happening even because it's in everyone's interest to make sure there's also peace in this region. What happened in post Kargil? Why did Pakistan back off? Because of US pressure. So this pressure has been happening, this give and take, the balancing of equations in India and between Pakistan. Right now, with them withdrawing from Afghanistan, they need to make sure that both India and to an extent Pakistan also plays ball. So we will have to see this how this whole chemistry
Pakistan
works.
has played America for decades. They played him really well, right?
Yeah.
They play the game really well, and I'll tell you how they play the game. Their general contingent are the kinds of people who've been to West Point, right? They are course mates with the buddies who then become senior generals and sit on Pentagon staffs. They play the old boys club very well. The Pakistanis are master of that. They're the master of spin, and they are the masters of blackmail. The error that we've made is we've sat on moral high horses. That obviously we are right. Obviously the Maharaja has signed this document. Therefore, Kashmir should accede to India. And they go, no, hang on. This is disputed turf. Okay, map has to be changed. Sumit Peer, in very real politic terms, when it comes to Pakistan, is this it? We found the model, and now minus Shatrughan Sinha and Navjot Sidhu, here's the model. It's working. Let's just stick with it. Nothing more need to be tried.
I think one thing we have to admit, Rishabhji, we have been very weak on the propaganda. Propaganda is a tool which is an active part of diplomacy now. It's like Pakistan has been doing a better job than us, though the ethics and the morals and the merits might be with us.
All lie with us.
But
we
they have been able
we have to prove that we did the Balakot strike.
We have to still prove.
It's amazing.
And there's another problem.
We are having to prove
we are not a united house.
that we did the Balakot strike.
People from within the country will start saying surgical strike ka proof do, Balakot ka proof do. That is another problem what we are facing.
But that's going to happen.
That is going to happen.
That's perfectly fine.
But at the international level, we are doing a much better job what we were doing 10 years back. And the world is acknowledging us, but there is still a lot of scope to be done. Look at the pro-American, pro-Pakistani lobbies operating in US. How many pro-Indian lobbies are countering them? I don't see a lot. Right now,
no, it's not happening. They are far more effective in lobbying in the Senate, in the Congress. We have some
and they have been there working for last 40 years.
In at least
and
in
what
the
did
UK
we do?
Conservative Party, but otherwise not so much.
And what did we do 40 years back? We dismantled all our RAW assets in Pakistan and elsewhere. That is also a blunder we have done.
Well,
they have been
it's an infamous thing that's come out in a book that was published a short while ago.
Yeah.
But Manish Pandey, have we found what we needed to do with Pakistan? Right? Our priority was that there are no terror attacks happening on Indian soil. Pakistan living in the fear of uncertainty and knowing that we can respond without having to worry about somebody in Washington or somebody in London throwing a spanner in our works. Is that good enough?
I'll just answer by just posing a question. What were you expecting from the US president in a 36-hour trip to India? Were you expecting moon from him? I don't think so.
We are already expecting the moon.
He has already sent.
We literally
he has already
are. ISRO is certainly.
It's already a symbolic message which he has given to the region. He is there in your country, and he's not going to Islamabad, by the way.
Yeah.
Or he's not going to Saudi Arabia on the way, or Iran or somewhere. He is just
Tokyo.
or to Tokyo. So he is here, especially for Prime Minister Modi and for India, and he has come. And the thing is that he has not called off the trip, or he is not like miffed that trade is not happening. He is so pleasant. He is actually talking in the all the protocols are being broken. And they both are having, and when I just take you back to Howdy Modi and the UNGA, hadn't he done what no one had done so far?
Let me just pick on this.
Let
me just pick on this on the different thing, because if the assumption is that we have Pakistan in the position that we want Pakistan in, there's an issue with the Taliban in Afghanistan which we still need to work out right now. But when it comes to Pakistan, they are squeezed. And now it's on us. If they mess with us, we're going to ghar mein ghus ke marenge, and we don't have to worry about some recommendations coming from Brussels or London or Washington. So good enough. Let's keep it as such and let's move on. Fair enough. So then brings the next question, which Priya was pointing out to. I want to take it up to a slightly larger level. This sort of global alignment that is being attempted at, in which you're seeing the Congress here, Priya, reaching out to Jeremy Corbyn in London, finding some friends in the Democratic Party in the US. They've have an office in Turkey, of all places, at this point of time. So this conceptualization of ideological cross-boundary, cross-continent alignments that is taking place, what is this going on?
No, that is also the little danger that comes when you make relations too personal, which is what is happening. We were accusing, not accusing, but there were a lot of criticism of the Howdy Modi event that he's endorsing Trump's candidature. He made it very personal, because your relationship is with the country and not with a particular candidate. So that is the thing. Now Congress is, our Congress, not theirs, is playing its own game by, trying to reach out to people in the Democratic Party who would, take a different stand from Trump. So this is what a trend that is worrying me also, which comes when you make it too personal.
Is there an understanding? I can't. Okay, I'm going to pose an example. Manish, help me understand it. Okay, on the economic point of view, on one side you have a Narendra Modi, who is the most welfareist PM in living memory, where he's doing Jan Dhan Yojana, Ujjwala Yojana after Yojana, Awas Yojana, which are welfare schemes, and these would be traditional Democrat Party kind of logics of welfare state. The same Narendra Modi at the same time is cutting corporate taxes, which are incidentally now at par with the US, right? So on ideological terms, he can be both a Democrat and a Republican. But when it comes to other issues, he's being painted in America as this is a nationalist, Hindu, right-wing Prime Minister taking India into a Hindu Rashtra direction where Muslims are living in fear and we are creating a country of Islamophobia. The entire section of the Democrat-leaning press is doing this to Narendra Modi. Even to Sunday, John Oliver doing exactly the same thing. He has no business commenting on India, but he's doing it. Manish.
The Western media portrayal of Modi is for just simple reason. He is friends with Trump.
Yeah.
And he is his true friend. You open any newspaper there, even if Trump is walking the dog, and if he's not, and if you get a picture, awkward picture, there will be a story about that he is not a good dog walker, or he's not taking care of the pet. So we are paying the price in the Western media, especially the US media, which just takes, like, even when I will say the day Modi got that massive mandate, they were anticipating that the fundamentalist forces were, now the fundamentalist forces, Hindu fundamentalism will grow, and now the minorities are in a soup. So they already anticipate things about India
which are not going to happen and not
going to happen. But I will just add to one thing what you just said and Priya was saying. My simple philosophy is, when it comes to nation, we are above politics. Security, when it comes to nation security, and that has been the precedent earlier. Even in Indian Parliament, when it comes to Indian security.
But when a Labour Party, for no good reason, at a Labour Party conference in the UK, come and passes a resolution. Now Bernie Sanders has won New Hampshire, he's won Nevada, he's on the front running for being a US Democratic Party presidential candidate. When he takes a position, and I played out the soundbite repeatedly today, when he takes a position and says this is unacceptable, what India is doing in Kashmir is unacceptable. So if we are saying we picked a side, they are also being very clear that if Democrats win, we are now out to gun for you, and then the Congress Party of India says, okay, this makes sense to us, so we are aligning for you. We are getting into muddled international politics.
Yeah.
Manish, just take that.
But the thing is that what information we were giving to US, they are very, very sensitive about 2-3 things. Democracy. They talk about rights, freedom of expression, all these things. And there everyone has this holy duty to just save this world from if there is any attack on these personal privileges and rights of an individual.
But they'll do business with Pakistan.
But that is something they live with. But when Bernie Sanders thing happened and everything happened thanks to the US media, which was portraying India into a completely different picture, I will say that the way President Trump stood ahead of UNGA and during the Houston summit, when they say that India has all right to protect its borders. He said that was one message he gave.
There is a problem right now. So Sumit, there is a problem now. If you have, I don't know, Hassan Minhaj and a John Oliver and others will join in, right? Just lampooning India because they have a problem with Narendra Modi and they are deeply opinionated, ideological position. They got nothing to do with facts on the ground or reality. How we run our country is our problem. There are plenty of problems in America as well. But when they start doing all of this and then they find succor, incidentally, in Indian political parties who will say, yes, we agree with you, and actually will make those people popular here in India, we are seeing a cross-border sort of politics that almost harks back to to communist days, right? You're talking about Cold War, where you're talking about communist international versus the American bloc of ideological war happening across the world is very, very troubling, Sumit.
It's very troubling because, Rishabh, the point comes is that what Maniji said, somewhere down the line, our propaganda machinery, our ability to campaign and communicate and put our point very forcefully has lacked. That's why there's a dissonance like this is created. And there are some journalists like who publish these articles of Modi, divider in chief and all, and they know they have reasons, when they get a OIC card cancelled and all that, they have reasons to do that. And you look at the parentage and all that. So all of them have a very good reason to do that. And look at Bernie Sanders, his right hand man or his advisor is a Pakistani, and Pakistani is doing what he is best at. Because when he was born, he was told that India has oppressed and it's our moral duty to go and pay it back to them. So it doesn't matter which part of the world they reach.
Okay.
They will do it, but can we protect ourselves?
I need to take a break. Quick, and we'll last with the quick intervention.
I will just add here that their interpretation of Kashmir is always as a disputed territory.
Correct.
But we have not been able to, our own media, I'll blame our own media for that they have not countered this Western media assertion that it is a disputed. Pakistan has their own territory. We have our own, it's our integral part. That's our own territory, period.
So, yeah, it's disputed and Bernie Sanders says what's happened. Okay, prepare what we have. Take the last word.
Basically, this thing about, the fact that sides are being taken, that is Prime Minister Modi. Those who love him will love him to the extreme, and he also evokes a lot of people who hate him. So it gets very personal with Prime Minister Modi. His personality does tend to overshadow
But the fundamental question of people who are then saying these kind of things, right, are no longer then talking about one particular establishment. They're talking about a national decision taken through national processes. Whether it be 370 or A or the Supreme Court. There was an Economist article, okay, in which the editorial piece is writing that we hope India's Supreme Court shows some unexpected spine.
I see.
Right? This is an editor sitting in London telling the Supreme Court of this country to show some spine, unexpected spine, to take on a particular decision that is being made here. This is very clear agenda propaganda that is taking place. And then when we get sucked in by it because we think that the Economist magazine and the New York Times are the paragons of the world, Priya, and our political parties say that these people are the ones who are telling the truth and all you Indian journalists are all sold out people, we are creating problems for ourselves, which we are also culpable and guilty of.
Well, Rishabh, 2 points. One, yes, the foreign media has no business or any foreign to tell us what is happening in our own country. But the fact that if there are a whole lot of people here within India, political parties that are questioning Modi's move, the fact they are questioning it, it has to be kept separate from the criticism of the foreign media. They are questioning it on their own grounds.
So they should have
be allowed to
question it on their own ground.
They are not endorsing a New York Times point of view. They are giving their own point of view.
Maybe
to say you are being anti-national because the foreign media is also criticizing, you are also criticizing.
Jeremy Corbyn after they pass a resolution, which is not their business. Maybe they shouldn't be sending a delegation there. Somebody should be thinking about that. I don't think they are. Sumit, I'm really out of time. Take 10 seconds. I'll leave the last one.
What you rightly said, that how much are we willing to relent and how far are we willing to go? That is the point we might have, because at the end of the day, you might be Congress, you might be BJP, or you might be CPM. We are Indians first. Indian interests first.
We should be able to agree on.
While there is nobody who can teach us what to do. Nobody from the, and New York Times and all, they are all, we all know who owns New York Times. We all know what are his interests. We all know what are the inclinations.
No, it's just the high horse you're sitting on without thinking everybody else. Everybody again the same mentality. The Brits are the same that UK MP that showed up is sitting on the same high horse and of course worrying about her vote banks. Are we being sucker punched into a global ideological polarization, Manish Pandey, that we had best avoid because it does not represent anything about India?
The blame is more on us because we have not projected ourselves to them the way it should be. When I faced questions during my talks there that, oh, you guys still this caste system and all, and it's so problematic that you exploit. Luckily, I had a slide of Ambedkar on this thing. I said the man in 48 is the man whom we gave the reins of drafting the constitution. And the man currently holding reins of the India is also a Dalit.
Okay, I'm out of time. I need to take a break because the big developments happening right across the country which we need to force attention also. I'll leave it with this thought. First of all, we as a country obviously need to stand up for ourselves. We can't be waiting for the Americans to stand up for us. If you have a good, strong economy, growing rapidly, your stature in the world will grow. Learn that from the Americans themselves learn that from the Chinese and figure out why nobody cares about the UK anymore is because they are no longer an economic powerhouse. It is important for us to realize that we should not be getting sucked into the global polarization battles of the world. People who are critical of the Indian government, that's separate from understanding that they need to now liaise with other people who are critical of their governments across the globe, because there's some ideological differentiation. India's ideologies and variations are much different from how the Labour and Conservatives work in the UK and how the Democrats and the Conservatives work and Republican Conservatives work in the US. We are mixing them up. And lastly, let us lose the fetish that whatever Firangis know and do, they do it better.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.